for coming again. My name is Khayza C. So this time around, we're going to talk about the improvements that you might need for your diet, and then I'm going to talk about also the strengths. So based on your diet recall, I have noticed that you do have two strengths. One of them is being sodium. You did not exceed the amount of of sodium that is like recommended, because you actually only had, for sodium, you only had about 1,453.3 milligrams of sodium, which is good because you're not supposed to exceed over 2,300 milligrams of sodium. So that's one thing that you did really good on based on your diet recall. Another thing that you did good on is in your proteins, your intake of proteins. Based on the dietary guidelines for Americans for 2015 to 2020, it is recommended that you do intake 46 grams of protein. Based on your diet recall, you did have an intake of 108.8 grams, which is amazing because you actually almost tripled it. Okay, right now, I did write down some possible areas of improvement that we would like to talk about for this counseling session. I'm going to provide you areas, and then you're just going to tell me which one do you want to work on. Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so the first topic that we can talk about is possible increase in vegetables and fruits. Another one is possible increase in dairy products. Another one would be possible intake in calcium, and in fiber or vitamin A and D. So which areas do you think you feel like you're lacking a lot about?
Leaning towards the vitamins.
Vitamins? Okay. Is there a reason do you think would lead you to having not that much of not that much like your intake being so low for that one? Do you think there's a reasons why affecting it?
I just think everybody needs more vitamins. It's always something that's talked about. So I don't know if I'm getting the right vitamins or enough of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm just going to talk about the layout of what the vitamins are, and why is it important. So right now you want to have an increased intake of vitamins A and D. For vitamin D, it is vitamin A and D, they're both fat soluble vitamins. Vitamin D focuses on your maintaining your strong, like your bones. So when you have enough intake of vitamin D, your bones does get stronger, so it's not as fragile. It also helps the body absorb calcium, which is one of the areas that needs improvement. So when you increase intake vitamin D, it does help your calcium to be absorbed in your body. Speaking of bones, muscles is also muscles need vitamin D to help it move. The nerve needs it to carry messages between the brain and every body part, and the immune system also needs it to fight off bacteria and viruses, and that is based on the National Institutes of Health. Also, on their site, they have said for vitamin A, it helps for you to have a normal vision, and it helps your immune system the same way as it does for vitamin D, and helps reproduction. It also helps your heart, lungs, kidneys, and other organs to work properly. And there's two different ways you can get vitamin A. One is called preformed vitamin A, which is found in meat, poultry, fish, and dairy. And then another type of vitamin is called provitamin A, which is found in fruits, vegetables, and other plant-based products. Okay, so that's pretty much a brief summary, or like a brief little intro of what the vitamins are for vitamin A and D. Right now, for why I have used those two things as topics for improvement is because based on your diet recall, the recommended intake for vitamin A, according to the National Institute of Health, is that you are recommended to have at least 700 milligrams of RAE, which is right now, let me double check. Because right now your vitamin A, your intake was actually at you're supposed to have an intake of 700 RAE, but right now your intake based on your diary call was 236.5 RAE, so which is obviously a lot low. And then for vitamin D, you're supposed to have at least 15 micrograms consumed for vitamin D, but right now that one's also very low, which is 1.6 micrograms for vitamin D. So ways that we can improve that, do you think, right now, do you think, is there a way you're able to increase it, or do you know any ways that you know how to increase your intake for vitamin A and D?
I mean, I would think maybe changing my diet, eating more of the foods that contain those vitamins. Other than that, I don't know, would a multivitamin?
A multivitamin?
Is that effective?
So you think about like supplements?
Yeah.
You can definitely take supplements in order to increase the intake of vitamin A and D. Have you been taking supplements before, or are you not used to it?
I'm not currently taking anything now.
Okay. So I can recommend that if you want to, do you want to start on doing supplements first before, or do you want to talk about like what foods that include that includes vitamin A and D?
Both, actually.
Both? Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Right now, what level where do you stand of making that change to improve your vitamin A and D? Like, do you think you would be ready to make that change, or do you think you're kind of hesitant on making that change?
Yeah, I'd be willing to make the change immediately, I guess. Like, it's not, I don't think it'd be too much of a hassle or anything like that, just to be healthier.
Okay. All right, perfect. Okay. So to make those changes, obviously, it affects your diet and how, what other things that you're eating. So we'll start on with vitamin D. Everyone knows that vitamin D, you can also get it from going to the sun, going outside, because obviously the sun does provide vitamin D. But food-wise, some good sources for vitamin D, according to the site as well that I'm referencing from. You can also increase, like right now you're eating, you said in your diet recall you were eating eggs as your first meal. That's also you're getting vitamin D through eggs. Another source that you're getting vitamin D from is, let me double check. If you increase your intake in cheese, like any dairy products like cheese, milk, yogurt, that can also not only help increase your intake in vitamin D, but can also increase your intake in calcium and also dairy products. So that like helps kind of like, have knock one thing out with 3 stones. So those are some good sources for vitamin D. Another would be like orange juice. Do you like drinking orange juice?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so orange juice is also like a good source for vitamin D. So you can have it like between your meals. Because I did remember you put you told me that you drink apple juice between your breakfast and your lunch. So maybe you can try, alternating from apple juice to orange juice every other day to see any sort of improvement with your nutrients. Another way you can get vitamin D is through seafood. Like if do you like eating sushi or like anything like that contains seafood?
Yeah, I love seafood.
You like seafood? Okay, perfect. So that's also another way, because obviously seafood does help, like anything with salmon, tuna, or sardines. So like obviously if you like eating sushi, that's also one way to like actually increasing that step. But also you're getting different kinds of nutrients too. That you're also getting protein. So that's for vitamin D, for like for food source and like obviously the sun. For dietary supplements for vitamin D, you can also do that, but you can also get dietary supplements for vitamin D. It's just that there's two forms of getting it. So it's available, which is D2 and D3. So when you take supplements that has obviously with vitamins, you do have to be very careful. You do have to be very careful because you don't want to base your diet on just supplementing everything. I would recommend that you use it whenever you think that you're not getting enough vitamins through the sources of the food that you're eating. So if you do that, you can take supplements, which is totally fine. You know, not many. If you don't feel like for certain days, if you feel like you're lacking eating dairy products or like eggs or like orange juice, you can definitely supplement with vitamin D. And then for vitamin A, some sources for food for vitamin A that I did notice, it's pretty much the same thing. Like I said, vitamin A is like all the vitamins are found in the foods that we eat. Vitamin A is, like I said earlier, it's found in meat, poultry, fish, dairy, fruits, vegetables, and plant-based products. For meat, you said you ate chicken wings and chicken breasts in your diet recall. Do you often eat lots of meat on your daily basis?
I mean, just chicken.
Just chicken? Okay.
Yeah.
How much do you love?
I think that's generally what I eat the most of.
You love chicken? Okay.
Yeah.
Is chicken just like favorite type of meat?
Yeah.
All right. So what that's meat like chicken, which is poultry, that is found in preformed vitamin A. And then you said you like eating seafood, so that would also be part of preformed vitamin A. What is your favorite type of fruit?
Apples.
Apples? You love apples. Yeah. Okay. So I would recommend for apples, which is does help in vitamin A. You can get a good source of it. You can alternate eating that as a snack. Would you consider seeing yourself doing that?
Yeah.
Okay. So like you can have it like with like peanut butter, or you can just have it a little snack when you're going to work, because you did mention last time that you often work a lot during the weekdays. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So like you can like pack yourself like a little lunch with like your favorite things that you like to eat, so you can still get that the nutrients that you need for your body. Have you tried considering, because right now provitamin A also considered as plant-based products, have you tried any like those like fruits, vegetable like smoothies that you see in stores, or like make yourself some at home?
Yeah, I tried some of this, like the green juice thing recently. So it's supposed to have like a whole bunch of vegetables and everything in it. It was pretty good. I think I'll probably consider making something at home instead. Okay. Instead of just like buying it every time.
Okay. Well, that's great to hear that you do already have an interest in plant-based products, drinking it especially, because that's also obviously it's the same thing as a supplement. So like when you drink products that contain nutrients inside, like like drinks, that's pretty much like you're still getting the nutrients you need when you intake it, because it's a different form of it's a different type of form of food. Do you like eating cereal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So cereal is also a good source of vitamin A. So it's like those ready to eat cereal. So like you can change your You can possibly like incorporate it in your meals once in a while in the mornings or even at nights, which is totally fine as well. So there's that for cereals. What's your favorite type of cereal?
Well, is there like specific cereals that would contain the vitamin A that you're talking about, or is it all of them?
So it would be anything that's like on the labels on the cereal boxes. It would say like it is 45 so it's like any ready to eat cereals, like for an example, like Cheerios or like those Special K cereals. So those ones would obviously those ones are already like they're known as like healthy based products for cereals. But is there like a certain cereal that you always been lenient to?
I love Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms, okay.
Yeah.
What we can do for the next session is that we can talk about like I'll do further research about Lucky Charms to see if it has enough vitamin A that you need for your diet. Also, eggs does contain vitamin A, so that's pretty much it. And then for ice cream, do you love ice cream?
I mean, I like it. I wouldn't say I love it.
You don't, okay, so you like it, but you don't love it. So ice cream is also, vitamin A is also found in ice cream, and specifically, like if you just take at least 1 cup, you're already consuming vitamin A by about, according to the website, by about 278 micrograms. So that's already increasing a lot because it does have dairy in it. So I'm going to give you some suggestions. Then I want you to consider them, and you can choose however you want to go about it. And these suggestions are based on like how to change your diet, or like how to kind of incorporate those vitamins A's and D's in your diet. The first suggestions that I would suggest, specifically for vitamin A, would be like we mentioned earlier, drinking more dairy, because it also not just helps your well, in general, just increase just having to increase the dairy products, like with yogurt, milk, or cheese. If you can incorporate into your diet, that not only helps your increasing the increasing amount that you intake with vitamin A and D, but it also increase your intake for dairy products, because actually that's one of the improvements that was also low as well. So I would consider that's one option, is obviously increasing your intake in dairy products, like whether it's incorporating milk with cereal, like how cereal is also helping with you having the intake of vitamin A, or increasing your intake in yogurt. You can incorporate that as like a little snack as well. So that would be my first suggestion, is to increase your intake in dairy products, because on the My Plate you're supposed to actually have at least 3 cups daily for dairy products. And right now with your dairy products, you actually had a very kind of not low, but you didn't have enough intake for dairy products. Because dairy products does also affect calcium, and then dairy is the best source to receive that mineral of calcium. So with dairy, like I said, you're helping your vitamin A, D, increasing your intake in dairy products, and also you're able to increase your intake in calcium. So it knocks off 4 things at the same time if you start drinking more milk or incorporating more dairy products in your foods. Another suggestion would be, the second suggestion is eating more fruits and vegetables, because that does not only help increase your intake in those two food groups that you need, but it also helps you with your vitamin A, because that helps with your provitamin A nutrient, because that's found in fruits, vegetables, and other plant-based products. So you can continue to try incorporating like veggies and fruits in smoothies, like green smoothies. And you said like you're willing to try making those at home. You can do that as well. That would be my second suggestion. My third suggestion also is your favorite, you said your favorite meat, or technically poultry, is chicken. So like with chicken wings and chicken breasts, you can still have that same you can still have that kind of same diet routine that you want. So you can still keep eating chicken, because that really helps your vitamin A as well. And also including with the dairy products in the very beginning for vitamin D is also getting out in the sun more. Like whether you're just going out for a walk or going for a run outside, or just spending time out with family or friends outside, that's also giving you that sun exposure to help you with your vitamin D increase. Do you consider or seeing yourself doing any of these suggestions, or which one do you think you have enough time to actually incorporate in your daily activities and like daily meals?
I think all of the suggestions were really realistic, and they're all something I can incorporate kind of in my daily routine. I think I definitely need to get outside more and get that more natural vitamin D, was it?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to start with that, and then just the minor changes to my diet, of course.
Okay. Perfect. That sounds great to hear that you're able to, incorporate all those suggestions, especially with getting more sun exposure. That's pretty much it for today for the counseling session. You pretty much are ready to make those changes. Last thing I would have to say though is if you see yourself struggling with those suggestions, you can always alternate. You don't have to do them all at the same time. You can start little by little, however it works for you around your time, especially with your work and your other daily activities. So you can start little by little, taking those baby steps until you get to the right path to having a healthier lifestyle. And so that's it for today. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.